going to start on the left hand side here, and these are all the commands which are available to us in Scratch. And unlike previous versions of Scratch, we are now able to scroll through all of the commands available. And we can also jump to different groups of commands by clicking on the buttons on the left hand side. On the opposite side of the screen, on the right hand side at the top here, we have the stage, and this is the area where our program is played out when we run it. And beneath this we have two windows. First of all, we have the Sprite window. This contains all the sprites that we have loaded into our project and some information about these sprites, such as their size and location. You can load a new sprite by clicking on the menu here. When you hover over the menu, you get several options. First of all, you can choose a sprite from the library. You can paint a new sprite. You can get a surprise sprite, so just choose one at random for you and load that, or you can upload a file that you might be using as a sprite. To the right of that we have the stage window, where again we can hover over and choose how we want to load or create a new backdrop. So we can select a backdrop from the menu, we can paint one, we can get a surprise backdrop, or we can upload an image or a file that we want to use as a backdrop. The Paint editor has a slightly different layout, but the majority of the tools and functions will be familiar to you from previous versions of Scratch. And likewise, the sound editor has a slightly different layout and a couple of added features, such as being able to apply an echo or robot style filter to the sound samples that you might have loaded into your project. There are also a number of extensions which come with Scratch 3, and these can be accessed by clicking on the bottom left hand button here, Add Extension, and then choosing the extension that you want to add. One of the previous Barefoot resources, Shapes and Crystal Flowers, uses the pen blocks, so these would have to be loaded from the extension by clicking on them before you start that activity. Coding in Scratch 3 is exactly the same as coding in previous versions of Scratch, in that we just select the blocks of commands that we would like to use in our code and we drag these into the scripting area. So, for example, if we wanted to get our cat sprite here to draw a simple square, we can use a combination of the pen blocks and the motion blocks like this. When pupils want to save their work, they simply go to File, Save to your computer, and this will save their project as a Scratch 3 file. Remember, you can't open Scratch 3 files on previous versions of Scratch, such as Scratch 2 or 1.4. However, you can open Scratch files from 1.42 in the new version of Scratch. So all of the Barefoot files that we created for older versions of Scratch still work with Scratch 3. A final couple of features to mention. Under the Edit menu, you can undo or restore anything that you might have accidentally deleted, and there are also a wide range of fantastic tutorials which come with Scratch, which are well worth exploring. Should you need to, you can also change the language which Scratch is operating in. And when you're programming and you might find that you've got lots of code in the scripting area, a top tip is to use this tool here, which will make the stage area smaller and give you more room to code. So as you can see, Scratch 3 is really not that different to previous versions of Scratch. I hope that's been useful for you, and if you've got any questions, do get in contact with the Barefoot team.